30,000 Oracle employees just got fired this week through email that was signed simply Oracle Leadership,
announcing about 30,000 layoffs that they were doing across the workforce. They managed to circumvent the WARN Act, which says that you have to give a certain amount of notice under certain parameters, but there's a lot of loopholes in that law, and they use those loopholes to their advantage.
We are just starting Q2 of the year 2026, and we're already seeing massive layoffs across tech companies in North America, with one of the largest companies, Oracle, laying off 30,000 employees, and they did it through email. Talk about how little they care about the worker. But it should be no surprise to anyone. We know AI is definitely on the horizon now and is starting to eat up more and more jobs in the tech sector. And we're going to discuss it in today's video. Also, if you find yourself coming back to the channel and watching more content, hit that subscribe button. I noticed that 60 to 70% of you guys are still not yet subscribed. So again, if you find yourself coming back watching more content, please hit that subscribe button. With that being said, let's dive into it today.
I've been in HR for over 20 years. And what I find very interesting is that companies like Oracle or Meta, companies that during the 2000s and the 2010s really spent a lot of money crafting this amazing employer brand value, like how amazing their corporate culture was. Now you're seeing those same companies lay off 20, 30,000 people. Do you guys realize how many people 30,000 people is? Like, that's a town of people. That's a whole infrastructure. It's like whole communities. And they're just letting them go to fund the next exciting project, the next shiny object, to appease stakeholders, shareholders that, hey, look at our margins, we're doing great. Nobody is sitting there and quantifying how much money they spent, how much time they spent into crafting this image of their brand to attract all these talented people they have on staff, and how all of that effort, all of that time, all that money has just gone to waste right now. How they'll never ever be able to have another meeting to talk about their culture, about how great it is to work there, how every time, they're having a meeting with a prospective employee that they're trying to recruit, a talented employee, how that employee is just going to be like, yeah, you guys are full of it. Like, I'm just going to ask for a premium. They don't sit and quantify it because they're trying to focus on this short-term headline that will help drive shareholder value in the short term, and they don't really care about the big picture, how much this is actually going to cost them later on. They don't care. And the thing is, the job market is what it is. It's not great, but it changes, it evolves. Things change quickly when they do. So people that have those big brands on their resume, they're the first ones to go. It's easier for someone at those big companies to pivot than the smaller companies. Those big companies that you spent decades building that brand, they're the first ones to go. And they will go when the job market changes. So let's wait and see.
And the job market is changing quite a lot, especially since the pandemic. Since 2020, it feels like there's been a huge AI push from a lot of tech companies, which is ironic. It's right around the time where a lot of employees are working from home. And then quietly in the background, a lot of these companies are spending big on AI. In fact, one of the main reasons why Oracle laid off so many employees is because they were so in debt in terms of the amount of money that they owed in interest paying for this AI infrastructure and data centers. And ultimately, that is to replace the employees that they laid off. So while they were employed, their replacement was right in the background the entire time.
Okay, everyone, we are going to talk about the Oracle layoffs. So March 31st, just a couple days ago, Oracle sent out an email at 6 a.m. announcing about 30,000 layoffs that they were doing across the workforce. They managed to circumvent the WARN Act, which says that you have to give a certain amount of notice under certain parameters, but there's a lot of loopholes in that law, and they use those loopholes to their advantage. So people woke up at 6 a.m. last day of Q1 of 2026 with no job. All right. But let's talk a little bit about Oracle and what's going on with them. So in 2025, Oracle posted $12.4 billion in profit. Profit, not revenue, profit. 12.4 billion, okay? About 5.6 billion of that went to paying out dividends to shareholders. Larry Ellison alone got about 2.2 billion of that.
It's like the people who own stock in the company are more valuable ultimately than the employees that help build it. That's cool.
But here's the problem for Oracle. Oracle is doing a massive investment in what they're calling Project Stargate. That is them building these huge data centers for all of the AI that they're investing into. It's about $100 billion project, okay? And they have, taken out some loans. They've had some investment to fund this project, but interest rates are really, really high. In 2025, I think even just in the last quarter of 2025, they paid over $1 billion in interest alone on the loans, right? So it is not really feasible for them to get loans in the amount of the $100 billion they need. So what do? How do they get that money? Because they have to invest, right? Have to invest. They decide to liquidate their workforce.
And what makes this whole situation even crazier is the fact that they were able to circumvent the laws set in place for employment and just fire everyone through email. And I think some of the reasons why they did that is to avoid a lot of videos on TikTok of people being laid off live on Zoom or Microsoft Teams, which has been something that was trending a lot for TikTok creators throughout the pandemic and the tail end of the pandemic, especially once a lot of companies were demanding their workers go back to the office. The writing was on the wall for some people, and they kind of had a feeling, a sneaking suspicion that they could be laid off. That's why a lot of people ended up filming them, obviously to get some clout as well on social media, but also to kind of showcase how much the companies actually don't care about their employees. But evidently that is even more the case. The fact that they're doing it via email is ridiculous. 30,000 employees sent off through email is just baffling.
1,000 Oracle employees just got fired this week through email that was signed simply Oracle leadership. There wasn't any call with human resources, no boss on the phone, no awkward conversations, not even a Zoom link. Simply just an email that said Oracle leadership, and then by the time most of these people read it, their system access was shut off. Naturally, this comes at a time when Oracle has posted a $6 billion quarterly income. So in other words, they're super profitable, and their reason for doing it is to help redirect billions into its AI ambitions. In other words, they've hired all these people to pay for AI initiatives that they've got coming down the pipeline to probably lay off even more people. Now, I've been watching companies essentially treat their employees like crap over the last 20 years, but it's gotten even worse since 2020. Remember the Better.com layoffs where the CEO laid off a whole bunch of people through a really informal Zoom call? And then Google started shutting people's swipe card access in 2023. And that's how a lot of them learned about it. And then there was some formal thing that went out. And now we're at Oracle cutting 30,000 people through. They don't even get the chance to even have a discussion with somebody in human resources. It's basically just a generic email that says Oracle leadership. And honestly, companies are probably doing this now because so many people have been making a habit of recording their terminations through TikTok and then posting it, having to go mega viral and super embarrassing for them. So the easiest way to do it is to just send a generic email with nobody's name attached, no villain that you can put in the public spotlight. But what all this is pointing back to is something that I continually preach in this channel. Nobody's going to care about your career more than you will. And if you're leaving the company in control of your destination, which most people are, then this is the likely outcome at some point.
Now you have to ask yourself, if this is happening now with major companies like Oracle, and we know how powerful AI is and how disruptive it is to the industry in tech, how many more layoffs are going to happen through huge companies throughout the tech sector, and maybe not even just the tech sector? Leave your thoughts about this down below in the comment section, guys. 2026 could be a disastrous year.